Ever wondered what advice an older INFJ would give to a younger one? As we journey through life, we gather valuable lessons that shape our perspectives and guide our decisions. These pearls of wisdom are not only gained through personal experiences, but also from the shared wisdom of those who have walked the path before us. So buckle up as we embark on this enlightening journey of self-discovery and growth. Stay tuned for 10 must-know tips an older INFJ give to a younger one. Firstly, be brave, be vulnerable. The antidote to cowardice is not braveness, it is vulnerability. For us INFJs, being vulnerable means shutting out the critic in our heads. You may have heard or read that the best way to deal with your critic is to convert it into a coach that says helpful things, rather than don't know, not you, you can't, don't even think about it. The problem is, it just doesn't work. You will have far more success not listening to it than trying to coerce it into something it is not. The way I get past the critic is to always ask myself, what is the worst that can happen? It turns out, you can in fact negotiate with your critic, and more times than not, I was able to do what I wanted to by asking that simple question. Doing this over time will diminish the critic's dominance over you. This is important because with a strong critic, our capacity for growth will be severely limited and we become biased towards inaction. So freeing yourself from the grips of the critic is the first step in being more vulnerable, which in turn is the first step in a more fulfilled life for an INFJ. Secondly, push yourself, be action-oriented. Related to my previous point is another demon in the INFJ's cranium, which is overthinking. I always joke that the INFJ overthinks and underdelivers. It should be the other way around. We should remember that thoughts don't really do anything on their own, and it is action that manifests thoughts into reality. In other words, thoughts are the precursor to action, but without action, any thought is a waste of time and energy. Most people wrongly assume action is a result of passion. It's actually the other way around. Passion is a result of action. It is only when we do something that we discover what we are good or terrible at, our strengths, weaknesses. This is why, even if we don't feel like it, we need to push ourselves to take action. Sometimes it helps to get a task started right away or start the first step in a multi-step process, just to coerce ourselves, our brain, into starting. A daily habit of completing to-dos is another great idea. Whatever method you use, strive to have a bias for action at all times and push yourself if necessary. Thirdly, trust your intuition, but have a backup plan for when it fails. INFJs are known to be great dot connectors, bullshit spotters, visionaries, and even prophets due to our amazing intuitions. But there will be times when our intuition isn't functioning right. For example, when we are sick, hungry, angry on our period, for women, or don't get enough sleep, don't eat right or enough. In those times, our intuition will be out of sync with reality. In other words, our intuition works best when we're taking care of ourselves and poorly when we're not. For those times our intuition isn't giving us the insights we need, we should remember that direct observation or direct inquiry, aka data, is a great, dare I say, far superior alternative to intuition, because unlike our fickle human brains that may or may not work depending on how well we're taking care of it, data never lies. So, Plan A. Trust intuition. Plan B. Trust data. Fourthly, be aware of self-deception. It is the feeler in us that wants to believe and connect with everything meaningful. This is especially true for those scoring high on intuition. The problem is, if it's done in times of high stress or prolonged isolation, we might see connections in things that don't really have a connection. You know, kind of like when someone deeply religious claims to see the face of God in a cereal bowl. My point is, it's easier for INFJs to get into self-deception mode, since we already have the prerequisite functions for it, intuitive, feeler. So we must be extra vigilant if we don't want to. How do I put this politely? Get lost in our thoughts and alienate everybody around us. There are two strategies to keep your self-deception in check. 1. Partnering with someone who is firmly grounded in reality, aka a thinker, such as ENTPs, INTPs. Bonus points if they are your mentors. 2. Not isolating yourself socially. Friends serve as a filter for our thoughts, ideas, and good friends will tell you when you sound like you're smoking something. Self-deception is what fueled Hitler's beliefs, which exhaustively strung together 2,000 years' worth of grievances against Jews to justify a murderous genocide. He was effectively corrupted by his own propaganda, so please believe responsibly. Fifthly, Perfection equal unhappiness. Some of us will be perfectionists, strong J-types, which in itself can be incredibly draining on our lives. We seek perfection from ourselves, our partners, and so on. And if something is not in order, we get angry, we get frustrated. Not only that, but life and the world are inherently disorderly and random, which makes any attempt at control futile. We might try to control other people, forcing them to do what we want, but attempts fail practically every time, all while wasting a great deal of effort. There are two ways to deal with perfectionism, and I recommend using both to get the most benefit. 1. Study the art of Zen, aka going with the flow. You can find great content on YouTube, in books, social media groups, etc. I found that simply learning about Zen concepts is enough to have a positive impact on my life, including, but not limited to, perfectionism. 2. Get familiar with emotional intelligence, which is the art of influencing people in a charismatic or subtle manner. When you score high on emotional intelligence, you can influence people without them noticing it. The trick is to influence people when they are not defensive. Influencing someone is not controlling someone, but they have similar outcomes. 6thly, use lucid dreaming to connect with and discover your subconscious self. Lucid dreaming is a highly realistic state of sleep where you become partially conscious, aware, while dreaming, allowing you full control and interaction in the dream. Think fully immersive VR experience. You can think of lucid dreams as an intensive way of self-reflection, sort of like meditation on steroids. Through lucid dreams, I've been able to discover parts of myself that I was completely unaware of. The lucid dreaming experiences I've had felt incredibly profound and have literally changed my life and how I think. They have a spiritual vibe to them, which is hard to describe. Since our extroverted feeling, Fey function, is directed outward, it doesn't leave much room for self-discovery. Lucid dreaming is IMO, an incredibly effective self-discovery tool, and is especially useful when we feel lost, depressed, or low in life. It can also help with past traumas, personal or creative problems, phobias, or nightmares. Several how-to guides on inducing lucid dreams are available online. 7thly, are we doomed to loneliness? Not necessarily. It really depends on how much of your lifestyle and/or authenticity you are willing to sacrifice. Some INFJs prefer authenticity over anything, sacrificing their relationships in the process. Others hate being single and are willing to sacrifice their authentic selves to fit the relationship. Personally, I prefer taking the middle road by being as authentic as possible, except when it doesn't mesh well with whomever I'm involved with romantically. In other words, it's a bit of a give and take, which is true of any relationship. If there is too much conflict due to your authenticity, that's the universe's way of telling you it isn't going to work out. I would also challenge you to not see loneliness the same way everybody else seems to see it, as a negative. Statistically speaking, our soulmates are ENFPs and our best friends are INFPs, but those claims should be taken with a grain of salt, as some people may be mistyped. 8thly, indignant behavior equal crazy loyalty checks. Out of all of the personality types, the INFJ is the one most likely to display indignant behavior, which is feeling or showing anger or annoyance at what is perceived as unfair treatment. Now keep in mind that sometimes this perception is justified, but most of the time, and from my own personal experience, it is not. It is simply a feeling that passes with time. Going back to the previous point 3, if you are angry, sleepy, hungry, etc., you will most likely resort to indignant behavior when it is not really justified, which in turn results in some pretty outrageous loyalty checks for the people involved. These can include being passive-aggressive at best or demanding to give up friends/work/family at worst. For the INFJ, morality goes out the window the moment he or she determines the other person has been disloyal, unfair, or dishonest. Here is how I deal with my indignant feelings. 1. Remain calm. 2. Do not assume anything. 3. Sleep over it. Do not make hasty decisions. Sleep solves 99% of your emotional problems. 9thly, pick your battles wisely. At times you may be tempted to use your ambition to fight someone you deem has been unfair, whatever the term may mean to you personally. INFJs are known for shaking up entire power hierarchies in the name of fairness, justice, and equality, leading social movements, disrupting churches, and even standing up to the mighty British Empire, Mahatma Gandhi, an INFJ. In that process, we will always make enemies and even risk being killed. Make sure the battle you have chosen to fight is worth it to you. Make sure you do not inflict pain on those who have helped you grow. Remember, only hurt people hurt people. Sometimes all it takes is to talk it out with someone you trust deeply. 10thly, explore away. Whenever someone asks me, what would you do if money and time weren't an issue? I always respond with, professional explorer, and for good reason. We INFJs are not only born curious, we remain curious throughout our lives, well into our adulthood. While the majority of people apparently think curiosity is something you grow out of past childhood. Most of the INFJs I've met have interests so varied and so deep, you'd think they are making stuff up, but once they start talking about their interests, they won't stop. They get excited, they get energetic, they want to tell you everything about it. While the majority of people are driven by greed, status and power, we are driven by curiosity, passion and love. So while your parents may want you to have a stable job and health insurance, nothing wrong with that, I'm here to tell you to follow your heart, because the best life is one of curiosity, passion and love. Don't let anyone shame you for your varied interests and/or passions. And finally, we hope you found these pearls of wisdom helpful. As fellow INFJs, we believe in the power of shared experiences and collective wisdom. So we want to hear from you. What are your pearls of wisdom? What has your journey as an INFJ taught you? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your story and learn from your experiences. Remember, this is a community, and your voice matters. Every comment, every shared experience, every pearl of wisdom can help someone out there who might be struggling with the same issues. And if you found this video helpful, do subscribe to our channel. We regularly share insightful content, tips and advice for INFJs by INFJs, so don't miss out. Subscribe and be a part of our growing community.